Main Street banks put the economy on the verge of collapse again. Our next guest, he said the collapse of Wall Street was going to happen. He predicted it. People mocked him. Nobody believed him. Now, 2 years later, financial strategist, author of many books, the latest, How an Economy Grows and Why It Crashes, Peter Schiff, joins us with his predictions. And Peter, so where are we? Are you still predicting maybe another major meltdown?
Unfortunately, yes. You know, you talked about the Lehman Brothers being the scariest part of this Great Recession. It's only the scariest part thus far because this Great Recession is just getting started. I think 2008 is the overture. We've barely seen the opera, let alone heard the fat lady sing.
How long do you think it will take to get to the other side? Is this something that is manageable?
Well, no. I mean, unfortunately, you know, the government created the financial crisis. It was bad monetary and fiscal policy that led to it, and it's bad monetary and fiscal policy that is making it worse and is going to bring on the next crisis, which will be a currency crisis, a sovereign debt crisis, which is going to see the value of our money collapse, prices for food and energy and other consumer goods go through the roof, long-term interest rates surging to high levels, and, of course, when you have high consumer prices, high interest rates, and a weakening economy with more people unemployed than there are today, you are in a much worse position than you are now.
So your point about the government, the low interest rates always create bubbles is one.
Well, low interest rates are creating a problem. Interest rates have to be set by the supply and demand in the free market, which means the available pool of savings relative to the amount of borrowing. Given the fact that so few Americans are saving and so many in America, including the government, are borrowing, interest rates should be much higher in this country. They need to be much higher. The fact that the government is keeping them artificially low is doing severe damage to our economy. And ultimately, we're going to see that in the value of our currency. I mean, that's why Japan came in and intervened massively yesterday in the foreign exchange markets to prevent the U.S. dollar from collapsing. You have China intervening on a daily basis to prevent our currency from collapsing. One day, foreigners are going to remove these supports, and our currency will collapse beneath its own weight.
All right.
We're going to see the error of our policies.
So for the listener, for the viewer at home, they don't know what a currency collapse will do because they say, I've got $1 in my pocket, I go to the store, there's a loaf of bread for $1, it all works out. What are you talking about? Explain to them why a currency collapse impacts them.
Well, because as the currency loses value, you can't buy that loaf of bread for $1. Maybe you need $3. Maybe you need $10. I mean, everything we buy, we pay for with dollars. And if the dollar is less valuable, you need a lot more dollars to buy things, particularly the basic necessities of life or the things that are traded internationally, like food and energy. They have a more immediate impact as the dollar loses value. And you can see what's happening with the price of gold. I mean, the price of gold is hitting new record highs now every day. It is simply an indication of the loss of value of our money. The price of gold isn't changing. It's the value of the dollar that's changing.
So inflation is coming, is what you're saying, because we've got to buy all that oil, we've got to buy all that energy, we're going to have to pay for it with cheaper dollars, we're going to have to spend more money, prices of energy going up, and everything else going up?
Inflation is already here. I mean, the stimulus is inflation. That is the government's plan. Rather than allowing housing prices to fall to levels that make sense, the government simply wants to debase the value of our money so that housing prices don't have to fall. You know, the money falls instead. And the government has all this debt. It has no ability to pay it back. Its only hope is to eradicate it or repudiate it through inflation. So we are pursuing a deliberate policy of monetary debasement of inflation, and that is the worst thing we can do because that is going to do untold damage to the American economy, to our way of life, to our standard of living. But, of course, for the politicians, it makes the most sense because it allows them to postpone the pain. But, of course, in postponing it, they make it far more excruciating for average Americans.
All right. 2 years ago this weekend, I don't know about you, for the first time in my life, I sat there and I have some money in a big named bank, and I thought, it occurred to me, is my money safe?
It's not.
Am I going to be having that same scary moment again?
Well, unfortunately, the government has decided not to let any financial institutions fail. So you don't have to worry about losing your money. If you have money deposited in a financial institution, no matter how reckless that bank is, no matter how many bad loans it has, you are not going to lose your money. But what will happen is your money will lose its value. And the money is going to lose so much value that Americans will be worse off. Had the government simply allowed certain banks to fail and allowed depositors to lose money, the losses would not be nearly as great in real terms as what we are going to suffer because of all these guarantees and bailouts. The government has assured that our money is going to collapse, and so you won't lose your money, but your money will lose its value. And you're going to feel just as broke as if you had lost your money, because you can't buy anything with your money.
I saw a quote of yours the other day. You said, things could get very bad in this country. People might want to leave, and when they do, it'll be illegal to leave your gold or your money.
Well, a lot of people are going to want to leave, particularly young people who want to work and who want to make something of themselves. The government is making it increasingly difficult. You know, the government is trying to keep promises that it made to the baby boom generation that the next generations are incapable of financing. And if we're going to try to, encumber younger generations with enormous taxes and regulations, they're not going to have any opportunities here. And the best and the brightest are going to leave. And, one day it might be illegal for them to leave. Although I also think that a lot of money is leaving the country. More money is going to flee the country as people try to preserve their wealth and protect it from inflation. And that's when the government might come in and make it illegal for people to protect their wealth. And that's why I said, you want to buy your gold now, who knows? Maybe the government might not let you do it. Or, it's good to have some gold out of the country because one day it might be illegal to take your gold out of the country. I don't know. I mean, I think the government is going to be more and more oppressive as the economy gets worse. And it will get much worse because the more the government tries to stimulate the economy, the weaker the economy will get, the more rights and individual liberties will be surrendered to the government, and it's a self-perpetuating spiral where we completely transform our economy from a market-based economy to a centrally planned socialist economy, and it continues to undermine our ability to ever recover.
All right. Peter Schiff, thank you. We'll check in with you on a regular basis to keep up to date. Peter Schiff, president of Euro Pacific Capital, thanks very much for coming on.